Welcome back, peeps. We took the summer off, well, a good month. We took all of July off, and we are back. It's August episodes and on. We'll probably take December off because, Christmas. And I'm excited because I have been kind of slowly researching some different topics and things I want to talk about. I also reached out to a couple of people that I really, really admire their writing and their journey through their experiences. And we're going to be having some guest speakers coming on. So, yeah, it's an exciting time. And thank you so much for just hanging out and waiting for these episodes because, even though I love doing the podcast, there's times when mentally this girl needs a break, and I definitely needed a break. And it was really nice to just spend some time by the beach and just relax a little bit and not have a schedule to think about. But I'm ready to get back to work. And today it's a zinger because it was something that, God never ceases to amaze me because I was thinking about this episode. I was kind of researching this episode. And then one of my UnMothereds reached out with this exact type of situation. And the title of this is What Happens When Your Toxic Mom Becomes Ill. Ugh, the hardest thing. So, what happens if she's sick? Maybe she's dying. She might be going through a cancer thing. This situation, it was kind of similar to my mom. She had broken a hip. Her mother had broken a hip and a wrist. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But what happens if you've been no contact with your mom or very limited contact with your mom because, she's toxic? And now she's asking you to take care of her, or you feel the need to take care of her. Should you, or how does this work? So it's kind of a two-sided thing. And also, I'm just going to preface it right up front. This decision has to be yours. Don't listen to this episode and be like, yeah, Phylis did it this way, so this is how I'm going to do it. Or I don't like the advice she gave me, but maybe this is how I should do it because she did this research. No, you're going to have to decide. But because this is a really rough subject, but at the end of the day, I will tell you that you have to do the thing that is really going to settle well in your heart. And I think that deep down you will find that decision. If anyone's read my book, they know that I took care of my mom for 16 years while she was going through broken hips. Both her hips that she broke, she got while she was drunk. So that made me really angry that I had to take care of someone that had done this irresponsibly. Like, older people fall down. Listen, I was going to a funeral a few weeks back, and I had these shoes on that had just a square heel about that high, maybe 2 inches, but it was a slider, and my foot slipped. I fell face forward on the ground. I'm 67 years old. Those are things that happen when you're in your 60s. So it was kind of ironic because I was thinking this was around the time my mom started falling and breaking hips, but she was drunk while she did this. So it was a whole different situation. So I know just being sober, you can fall and hurt yourself. And I was so grateful I didn't break anything, but just my pride. But I remember getting those phone calls, and then it was like, so she broke those, she was in rehab. Then when she got out, I had to take care of her. And then she didn't leave the house after the second hip was broken because she was afraid then that she would get hurt again. So she sat in a chair. I'm not kidding. Probably 23 hours a day. She would get up just to go to the restroom and maybe make herself something to eat. And she ended up having to have a total hip replacement because her hip started deteriorating and they had to put something in there to replace it. So that was a whole other thing. And then we had to walk her through that rehab. And then, of course, as you know the story, she got dementia. And so I walked through another couple of years through that with her. So, there were different parts to that. And I would say now, looking back, I probably should have asked for more help. And I think this is something that happens when women have gone through trauma with their moms, especially, is that we take on the caregiving role without questioning it, which is very loving. But I don't know that it's always healthy. And so I think if I had to go back and do it, I would have asked for more help from professionals. Maybe the visiting nurse made me a paid caregiver. So I actually got paid to take care of my mother because I was the only one helping her. But if I had a choice, I probably would have told her, I don't want to get paid. I want you to come in and help because I think that that's a easier thing. So my friend that contacted us in the UnMothered community said that, her mom, this is the thing, is her mom just assumed, and her mom is married, but her mom just called and assumed that she was going to take care of her when she got out of the rehab from this broken wrist and the broken, I guess she had knee surgery and then she was moving around too much and fell again, broke her wrist, and I think had to go back in and get her knee replaced or fixed again. And so she was in a rehab and then she was getting out and she was telling her daughter, well, tell me what your schedule is. She didn't say, hey, can you come help me? And this is the thing I think with toxic moms is like, they assume that because they gave birth to you, that you have to take on the caregiving role. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. Like, I don't want my girls to feel responsible for me if something happens. If they willingly want to help because they love me so much and they know that I would be super grateful for that, that's a whole different thing. But in this situation, her mom was like, give me your schedule and you're going to do this. And this was her time off. She's a teacher. And so she was like, what do I do? This is crazy. Like, I don't really, she goes, first of all, and this is the other thing, I'm good with caregiving. I told people if I had had an education, I probably would have become a nurse or a counselor. But I don't mind blood and guts and stuff like that. It's just, it's probably from my trauma, I'm sure, but it doesn't bother me. But for this person, she is like, she's like my oldest daughter. Like, they can't even go into a hospital. They start getting dizzy and like lightheaded. It's like not a comfortable situation. Their body reacts to it. And so she said, I don't want to be taking care of her bandages and doing the nursing kind of things. What do? I don't want to cause a scene. I don't want to fight with her. But on the other hand, and plus they have limited contact. And so, her mom is very toxic in her wording and the way she treats her children. And so, she demanded help from her daughter. And I think that's where this situation comes in when we are growing up with these toxic mothers, is that they think that we have a job to serve them. And it's really annoying because it's not like the typical mother-daughter relationship. Because of course, I know if I got hurt, my girls would be like, oh my gosh, mom, what can we do to help you? Would they want to? No, but they would because there's a loving connection with us. That's not the case when we're dealing with toxic mothers. And so her mom wanted her to drop everything. This woman is a mom herself. She had things planned out for her children. Her mom wanted her to drop everything and come over and take care of her every single day. So she was asking, what do I do? Like, I don't want to be this cruel, evil person and say no, because obviously she is sick. And also, what if this was a mom that had cancer and had to go through chemo and stuff? That's a rough thing. But we have to separate the two things, because if you're doing it out of an obligation where there's resentment involved, I don't think that that's helpful for either party. If you're doing it out of a loving heart and grace because you're like, I just feel like this is the right thing to do and I'm going to feel okay doing this. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to feel okay doing this, then that's okay. So I think that's what I told her was what you can do is set up a plan that works for your family and for you. And I think this is for all of us. Is there something you can do, even if you don't want to spend a lot of time, like nursing your mom back to health? Can you say, hey, let me do the grocery shopping for you? What do you need from the store? I can do that and bring that over. That's helpful, but it's not directly like having to do the nursing kind of thing if that's not your thing. Can I come over and wash your clothes? Can I come over and change your sheets and put new sheets on the bed? Can I make you a meal a couple times a week? So there's things where you're not tied in every day, but also things where you're showing, care and love for the woman who gave birth to you. Let's face it, like she's your mom. And, that's kind of where my heart light is like, listen, above all else, she is my mother. And at the end of the day, I don't want to ever have something happen and feel that I didn't give it my all of my own capacity, not my all, to the death. Like, I don't think that you need to do it again out of guilt or anything like that. But there are services you can do that will help them. And then try to find other things. Hey, let's see if we can get a visiting nurse in here to help you. What kind of insurance do you have that maybe there's like certain things that you can get help for? Maybe you can drive her to her doctor's appointments, that kind of thing. Just simple things that are easy for you that will take you away from your family for a little bit, but also then bring you back to a place where you can still be a mom to your family without having to be there 24/7 at your mother's house because she says drop everything. Now it's all about me. So that's usually what happens. So the flip side of this is if your mother is dying, if this is a terminal thing, this is more of an urgent decision for you. You're going to have to decide, are you going to be okay? If let's just put a scenario out there that you've been no contact with your mom for a few years and now you get word she's dying. She's in the hospital or she's in hospice. Like they're telling you like, this is it. You have to decide very quickly, is this something that I will be okay for the rest of my life if I never see that woman again and she dies and I never get to say goodbye or anything that I want to say? Or should I go there and just say, I wanted to show up to let you know I love you? And whatever the wording is, I'm not going to give you the wording because I know what I had to say, but whatever you feel is on your heart, and then let the chips fall. Because I've heard of some parents who were critical condition, let's say, the daughters went there to say their piece and the parents were not very kind. And so they left feeling worse than when they had gone. And I said, but the point is that you needed to do that for you. You pulled out and did what you needed to do. And that's up to them if they decide to accept that, that kindness that you're coming in and saying like, despite everything that's happened, here I am. So some people cannot be healed even on their deathbed. And that's a tough one to think about. But I know that I have watched in my family people that didn't have that closure, and it was extremely difficult for them when my mom passed away. And there was words that were left unsaid. And I had told them ahead of time, she's passing away. You need to come and say your goodbyes. You need to do what you need to do to feel good about this ending of this chapter. And they didn't do it. And then they regretted it. And there is no turning back. Once you're at the funeral home and you see they're gone, there's no more words that you can do at that point. So you're going to have to figure that out now without any response from the other person. So those are things to think about. I just want to tell you there's no right or wrong way. This is totally an individual situation for you. You know your situation of your history and your life story with your mom. So you're going to have to figure that out on your own. I'm just giving you a couple of different ideas to think about because our moms are getting older and this is a situation. And I wasn't prepared for how quickly, when my mom went in the nursing home, they were telling me with dementia, it can go really fast or it could last for 8 years. And my mom lived for 10 months and she was gone. So it was happening really fast. Every day was like there were new things happening and it was a lot for me mentally to have to go through these things and be like, okay, she's sick. Now she's on medication. She's stable this day. Now she's freaking out here. Now she doesn't recognize me. Now she's in a coma. Now it's like, here, it's 24 hours. I need to make these decisions. And so I was glad that I walked through all of that stuff with my mom, but that was my journey with my mom. And I never got the closure with my mom as far as like her saying, I'm so sorry and those kind of things. And so it was okay. So I felt like as a daughter, I just wanted to be kind and gentle and also have those boundaries. But like I said, if I had to do it over again, I would have done a couple things differently. I think what happens is we get the honoring of our mother and father very spiritualized, and that's really good when the relationship is good. But I think you have to really put those two things separately and know, like, no matter what, like, God's going to guide you in the right place. It doesn't mean you have to go into a situation and be beat up all over again, because now the situation has changed. You have to decide, like, mentally what's going to happen to you, spiritually what's going to happen to you if you decide one way or another. That's something you have to really meditate on and ask God, like, what is the direction? Show me the direction that I need to go, because this is a huge decision and there's no turning back if your mom declines and her health goes by the wayside and now you're dealing with her dying. I just don't want you to have guilty feelings of, gosh, I wish I had done this and now she's gone and I can't go back and do that. So always keep that in the back of your mind, but also don't let guilt ride you into being in a situation. You don't need to be with her 24 hours a day. There are a lot of services out there that can help, or friends. You may have a friend that's a nurse that can help you and come alongside you, that's like, hey, I can change her bandages. Doesn't bother me at all. Let me help you. Find those people that can help. Don't feel like you have to take all of this on by yourself. You don't. That is what has always been taught to us. It's something I did automatically. I don't do that as much anymore. I ask for help now. If something comes up where I'm like, I can't really do that, or I can't grab that, oh, you know what? I'm going to text so-and-so and I'm going to ask for help, because that's what healthy people do. So like I said, just some points to cover, like see if you can do some housework for her, or hire some cleaners if you can afford to do that and you don't have time to go over and clean yourself. Make some meals for them, and, ask a friend if they are someone who doesn't mind changing bandages, or, whatever the situation is. Maybe just walking them up and down the street with you because you need someone to help you, lifting her up and maybe putting her in bed or lifting her up out of a chair. You can bring somebody with you to help. Washing their clothes for them, that kind of thing. Ordering DoorDash or like a Seamless or whatever kind of thing you have in your town to order some food and have it delivered too. That's another great way. If you don't have time to cook a meal, see if they can have a meal delivered to them so they don't have to cook, and, they can just sit back and get healthy again. Also, another thing that you can do is just go over and like watch a movie with them, like bring some popcorn or something. Say, hey, I just want to spend some time with you. And see if that changes the relationship. You never know if those little things of kindness maybe changes their heart in a way where they're like, you know what, my daughter really does care, and this is a really good thing. So the point is you can be helpful where you can, but please don't do it out of obligation if you absolutely can't. Just stay in your lane, take care of your family, go in the places that you can when you need to help. We all want help. Like, I know that my mom was really scared when she had to go through these surgeries. And even though her voice was very gruff and the things she said was really gruff, underneath that gruffness was a lot of fear. And so when I could get past the voice and the nitpicking at me, I knew deep down she really cared, because there were times when she would grab my hand and say she loved me. She would, rub my face and say thank you. Rarely, but once in a while. And I appreciated those times. And I was like, I know that there's something good underneath all of this. So remember that too, that, they are people. They're not infallible. They are going to die someday because we all are. And so we can, be in these crazy positions with our moms, but when they fall ill and you realize they're just a frail old woman, you might change your heart on some things, but don't change your lifestyle. Make sure your family is being taken care of first, and then find some things that you can do to help her too, if you choose to. And like I said, it's individual for you. You have to figure this out. If you've been no contact, you're not going to suddenly start going over there, but maybe you could go over and say, let me just spend an hour with you and see. I haven't talked to you for a while. Let's just see if we can even have a relationship. Always keep the door open for communication. I think that's really important. And if you can't, you can't. No harm, no foul. There's no shame here. There's no guilt. Just some offerings of what happens when your mom does become ill. And I hope this episode helped you. And until next time, I'll see you later, peeps.